Hi, I'm Fran Chismar. I'm the Sultan of Sales at Pinelands Nursery, and the plant that I'm holding today, this is a 2-inch plug of smooth cordgrass, which is Spirabolus alternifloris, previously known as Spartina alterniflora. There was a recent name change that not everyone is happy with, but it is what it is. And you may look at this plant and say, well, it looks like a regular grass, but this is actually kind of special. If you have ever driven to the barrier islands of New Jersey and gone through the bays, or anywhere from Maine through eastern Texas, you've seen this plant en masse in our bay system. This is our local bay grass that you see, and the interesting thing about this is that it's where it lives. This can actually handle 0 parts per thousand, anywhere from that to 35 parts per thousand, which is seawater, and lives in the tidal zone. So it has to be wet and dry twice a day. And there's not too many things that handle those conditions as a native plant. And that's why this one is so important, because it handles those conditions very well. Now this is what one of these plants looks like, and this is what 500,000 of these plants look like. So at Pinelands Nursery, we grow on any given year up to 1 million of these plants for restoration. And you may look at them and say, why a monoculture? And you may notice plants like Phragmites, which is common reed grass, which is invasive and not from the United States. And it's quite simple, even though there's not too many things that can live in those conditions, but Phragmites it doesn't really contribute to the food web the way our native plants contribute. It's not really a larval host. I believe it's a larval host for two insects, or two Lepidoptera. Spartina is the host for 10 times that amount. And it has so many other great features for our natural wildlife as well. So it is the larval host for Aaron skipper. It is the larval host for the Louisianan eyed silk moth, but it also is an important food source. The roots, the snow geese, while they're migrating, will eat the roots for this. Muskrats and geese like the rhizomes, and this does spread rhizomally, as well as by seed, which is wind pollinated and carried by water as well. Deer will eat the entire plant for this. It also is great for accumulating sediment for habitat engineering species like mussels, and it also provides great nesting, food, and shelter for animals above and below the soil like fiddler crabs. So there's so many fantastic features for this plant in a place where not too many things grow. And it's also providing fantastic storm barriers and dissipating energy from storms. This is very important for us for when hurricanes come and nor'easters for damage. So when planting this, it is important to remember that this is a warm season grass. So if you plant in early spring, April and May, they will break dormancy and they will be growing, but they're growing slowly, and the root growth really picks up when you hit the warm temperatures of July and August. When that water warms up, you can almost watch the roots grow at that point, which is pretty exciting. But if you're planting early spring or late fall, and one of the issues with fall, in a nursery setting, plants start to go dormant earlier than in a natural setting. So while those plants lay dormant or may not get fully rooted, which is typically fine, geese, as we mentioned, like to eat the roots, and the rhizomes, geese will pull these out of the ground and eat. So you need to include some kind of goose exclusion netting, an overhead netting to prevent geese from coming in and eating them. They could devastate a restoration project overnight. But if you're planting in summer months, they establish very quickly, and it's not as much of a problem. And establishment is very important if you want that protection. They're in that tidal zone, so even in hot months, they're in their ideal situation. They're getting wet and dry twice a day, and they're in warm water, and they grow very quickly, and they do their job very quickly, which is what we need them to do. We do acclimate these plants to the salinity of your job site. So if you send us a water sample and we see it's 20 parts per thousand, we'll acclimate the plants. They're growing in salt water right now. We'll acclimate the plants to that salinity so that your job is successful. So next time you are driving through the barrier islands and you see this plant, point it out to a friend and make sure you tell them everything you learned.